I'm Amelia Dyer,
And I'm Javier Llano-Cruz.
and this is our glider project. We are Group 11. The glider must have been more than 50% wood, balsa wood by weight, not including mass added for balancing, must have had wings with a max minimum aspect ratio of 5, must have had a maximum wing loading of zero point 0.5 grams per centimeter squared, and must not have had sharp points or any features that could cause injury if it comes into contact with a person. The glider must have also been hand-thrown and may not have any additional propulsion. An active remote or automatic control of the vehicle was not allowed. The vehicle must remain intact during the flight. The glider must fly at least 20 feet when hand-thrown, and only forward motion is counted. If the vehicle veers right or left, the sideways component will not be counted. Ours was 7.25 grams balsa wood without counting the mass added for balancing. Our aspect ratio was 7.109, and it had a wing loading of 0.10988 grams per centimeter squared. There were no sharp points or other features that could harm a person. The glider was hand thrown. It was not controlled in any way. The vehicle remained intact during the flight. It flew 20 feet forward, and while it did fly slightly to the side, that part was not counted. The original design idea had styrofoam body and around the fuselage. This was going to be included to reduce the drag of the glider. However, the amount of styrofoam needed would have meant that the glider was less than 50% balsa wood by weight, so the styrofoam body idea was scrapped. An elliptical wing shape was also considered during our original brainstorming. However, after much debate, we went with the modified straight wing, with the front corners on both sides being curved. In the original brainstorming session, we also considered placing the wings further back on the glider. We decided against this as the glider was already back heavy, and many of the model glider designs we found listed in references showed gliders with wings closer to the front than what we were planning. And so the wings are approximately 2 inches from the front of the glider. The pro of having the styrofoam body would be that the glider would have less drag, but the con is that the glider would be less than 50% balsa wood by weight. The pros of the elliptical wings were lower wing loading, but the cons would be less wing area, and the wing placement has no pros or cons with respect to the requirements. We're starting with a slightly thinner wing and a fairly small vertical tail fin, with a comparatively large horizontal tail fin. After the original flight test, we decided to make the vertical tail fin and the wings more proportional in size to the horizontal tail fin to help with flight, settling on a 2-inch by 14-inch wing, although the front corners are curved, so the span of the front of the wings is 12 inches and the radius of the curve is 1 inch. We went with our initial design based off of the research we had done on gliders. Our glider was similar in design, although smaller to what we found in our research, although due to human error, the wing and vertical tail fin were disproportionate to the horizontal tail fin. Our glider in its initial design was back heavy, so we added Play-Doh for longitudinal stability, and we have already gone over the rest of the information on this slide. For our second iteration, we added an inch onto the back of the wings to increase wing area and decrease the wing loading, and we also made a larger vertical tail fin to help with stability during the flight. Due to these changes, we did have to add more mass to the front of the plane to preserve the longitudinal stability. As you can see here, we calculated multiple possible values for the lift and drag coefficients based off of the weight is equal to lift force times cosine theta plus drag force times sine theta equation, theta being the angle of flight. As you can see, we simplified this down until we found an equation that you could solve for the coefficient of lift and coefficient of drag, and 4 possible values that seemed reasonable.
So, a summary of our design iteration is that for our second design iteration, we focus on improving stability and overall flight performances based on the observations that we made in the initial flight test. Our original glider was modeled, as said before, through a common glider from our research, but because of human error, um, a thinner wing was needed and a small vertical tail fin, and comparatively large horizontal tail surface, creating a disproportionality that affected stability. To address these issues, we increased the wing area by adding an inch to the back of the wings, helping reduce wing loading and improve lift. We also enlarged the vertical tail fin to make it more proportional to the horizontal tail and to the enhanced directional stability. Because these modifications shifted the aerodynamic balance, we added additional mass to the front of the glider to maintain proper longitudinal stability. After testing, we settled on the 2 inch by 4 inch wing platform with the leading edge span at 12 inches due to the 1 inch corner radius. These adjustments created a more balanced and stable design that align more closely with the performance characteristics we aim for.
This is our final design shown inside a 16-inch by 16-inch square box to show that our final glider fit the size requirements. We thought we had recorded a video of our first iteration, however, we had not. For this, we apologize. Here's a photo of our first iteration, and here's a video of our second iteration.
So, uh, in summary, the presentation outlines the full design process, including the including the requirements for design and how we met the requirements or met and exceeded expectations. The slides walk through how each requirement was addressed and thought about and carefully and carefully addressed and put into thought. During early brainstorms, we explored several ideas, including adding a styrofoam fuselage and other concepts. But in the end, through testing, we were able to decide on the model that we came up with. Obviously, through testing, we learned about the original design, the weight of the back heavy design, the vertical tail fin, and the wing dimensions that were out of proportion. Through different iterations, we were able to resolve these issues in order to achieve the goal of reaching the 20-foot minimum.
Are some references we used while while making our original glider design, and that is all for our presentation. Thank you and have a great day.